Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, November the 9th, 2025, back in Turkey Creek to start day 21. Today's a big day. We're going to be entering South Louisiana. And as I talked about during day 20, the transition culturally is about to begin. South Louisiana is very unique. It's primarily French Catholic ancestry, and much of the rest of this trail is actually going to be going through the heart of Acadiana, which is the area that's primarily known for it. So the last names on the mailboxes are going to start changing, the accents are going to start changing, and the food's going to start changing. Of course, you can find Cajun food in a lot of places that you could pick up and eat that's Cajun, but it's going to be very prevalent the rest of this hike. So I'm going to be pointing out when we go through South Louisiana, towns I'm going to be walking through or nearby, that you can be able to gather that experience. But it's definitely part of the character of the Bayou State Trail, and the fact that there are a lot of different dynamics to this trail in regards to the topography, but culturally is what really makes this trail so unique. So if you're not from Louisiana, it's one heck of an experience to see a change from one part of the state to the next. So today's hike is going to be a little under 15 miles. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be hiking out of Turkey Creek this morning, and right around the midway mark is when we're going to officially end the crossroads section and start the first official section in South Louisiana, which is going to be the Cajun Prairie section. And I'll talk more about that a little later today. And then about 9.5 miles in, we're going to enter Chicot State Park. And then from there, we're going to get on the Chicot Loop nature trail and follow that the rest of the way. So we're heading back to the trail right now. And when we officially start our hike, I'll show you where we start. All right, this is where we came in last time. There's Glenmore Turkey Creek Highway, also known as Cemetery Road when you get into town. Highway 167. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna turn left and follow down here on US Highway 167 for the next 4.5 miles. We're now a little over 4 miles in to today's hike. And if you keep going straight, it takes you to Bayou Chico. There's a grocery store, there's a convenience store. If you want to gather up on some stuff, you can do that. And then once you get into town, you would turn left on Louisiana Highway 103 to reconnect with the main route of the Bayou State Trail. But what we're going to do now is we're going to turn left onto Foreman Lane. This is the official route of the trail. And we're going to follow this now for about 2.5 miles. We're now about 7 miles into today's hike. This is where we just came in from. And this is the Parkside grocery store. Unfortunately, it's closed on Sundays, but it's open the rest of the week. They've got food in there. You can see Hunt Brothers Pizza. You can read the sign, other things they have. On the door, though, it says no public restrooms, so just keep that in mind. But I want to point out a few things. So this is Highway 106. If you go through Bayou Chicot, like I mentioned earlier today, to get some things there, you would come up this way. And this is actually the highway to take you to the main entrance of Chicot State Park. So I'm bringing this up because if you're late in the day and you don't want to keep following the main route of the trail and you just want to get into the park, you can do it that way. It's probably about, I'd say 3 to 4 miles from here. But what we're going to do now is we're going to head this way on Highway 106. And this constitutes the end of the crossroads section and officially the start of the Cajun Prairie section. I will tell you though that the characteristics of the section do not start until after we get out of Chicot State Park on day 22, when it starts to really open up, because we're going to be staying in a heavily wooded area the rest of today and through the beginning of day 22 as we're now making our approach to Chicot State Park. Just a little over 9 miles in, this is where we came from. And you can see they're doing some road construction out here right now. Actually, this road was closed, I think, as recently as about a week ago. So we're getting off of this and you can see the sign. This is CC Camp Road. And we're gonna be following this now for about a half a mile, and we're going to enter Chicot State Park. As you saw a minute ago, we officially entered Chicot State Park. Probably a little over a quarter of a mile from down the road here. This is where we came in. And this is the North Landing Road. You can see a lot of debris on the road right now. It's because this whole section is currently closed off due to the bridge that you have to cross on this road coming in from the main entrance to the park was shut down by DOTD. Not sure when it's going to reopen, but I just want to point out just a short ways down is the North Landing camping area, which is very nice. They have RV spots, laundromat, I believe, they used to anyways, showers. So if you really want a nice camp spot, you can go there. Now, right here it's a closed off road, but the road down here takes you to a couple of group cabins down there. And we're going to be hooking up with the Chicot Loop here shortly. What we're going to do is we're just going to follow North Landing Road for a very short distance, and basically right around the corner here is going to be the North Landing Trailhead where we're going to get on the Chicot Loop. You can see where we just came from. The Chicot Loop actually goes right there, but the Bayou State Trail goes this way. So we're going to be on this for the last 4.5 miles. All right, we're a little over 10 miles into today's hike. We just stopped to take a break. There's a bench right in front of me, actually. I'll show it to you. It's right there, right when you come in from the North Landing trailhead. And we're about to go ahead and start really completing this hike today. I'm going to be showing a lot of stuff. I mean, this part of the trail is awesome. So there's going to be a lot of natural views that I'm going to present. But also, for those of you that are going to be hiking in, going southbound like I am, there are a few primitive campsites that you can book in advance. I'm going to show them to you. It's going to be a couple of them, I think, within about 2 to 2.5 miles from here. And then after we cross the bridge, there's going to be another one that'll be coming up, probably, you know, about another mile to mile and a half after that. I'm not going to stop and talk about it. I'm just going to go ahead and just show it. There's also emergency exits out here. So if for some reason or other you need to get off trail, you can just take one of those emergency exits and take you to the road. And then that will be a quick shot back to the South Landing. Or if you're really in a bind, you could call the office during business hours and somebody can come pick you up. So I'm gonna go ahead and start showing you a lot of cool stuff here along the Chicot Loop. We're 12.5 miles in. That's where we just came out of. This is the Walker Branch Trailhead parking lot. This is also closed as well. You can see the road closed sign straight ahead. What we're gonna do now is, there is a pedestrian walkway across the bridge, so it is open to pass. And I'm about to show you probably gonna be one of the top views along the Bayou State Trail. All right, just finished crossing the bridge. That was an awesome view. And you can see now, right when we step off this concrete, that's the road. Takes you back to the park. But you can see here, I'm gonna follow the orange blazes. And the Bayou State Trail continues in this direction. And we're about 2 miles away from the South Landing trailhead. This is just off trail. Just thought I'd show you this. It's a little spur trail. Last great view for a little while along Lake Chicot. And we've now come to the end of day 21. I'll get you the actual mileage here in a minute. But I want to point out a few things. So first of all, this way is where you come in from the main entrance of the park. And you can see actually the sign for the South Landing trailhead. Trail continues on that way. That's where we're going to go starting day 22. Down here is the South Landing camping. That's where everyone's at right now, being that the north side is closed. But similar amenities, they do have designated campground spots for RVs, so you can use it for tents, hammocks, and such. They do have a shower down that way, I believe. I'm not sure about the laundromat. You can double check, but the amenities are very similar on this side compared to the North Landing. So I'm gonna head back to my truck in Turkey Creek, and at that point, I will give you my thoughts on day 21 of the Bayou State Trail. Back in Turkey Creek and fixing to head out. This park is real nice, by the way. This is where I parked the last couple of hikes we've done. But I want to just say, today was probably a top 10 day. It went beyond my expectations because of the road walk part. I knew that we were going to be road walking the first 9 miles. But going down 167 wasn't bad at all. It's a very wide shoulder, as you saw. The drivers were courteous. And so that 4.5 mile stretch wasn't bad at all. Foreman Lane was much better than I anticipated. There's only a couple of houses right at the end of Foreman when you're getting over to Highway 106. It was a beautiful stretch. The leaves were changing colors on some of the trees. You have that mixture I've been talking about. That's part of this part of the state with the mixture of more of the bottomwood hardwoods from South Louisiana and then the Central Louisiana pines. But that really added to it. Highway 106, it was busy a little bit, but there's also road construction, so that kind of slowed things down. But that was only a little over 2 miles, so that wasn't too bad. Of course, when you get to Chicot State Park, after road walking for a while, it's just like you're in heaven. I mean, the trail is one of the most popular trails in the state, and the views are phenomenal. And I talked a lot about how with South Louisiana, it's flat. Well, that's an exception. It's going to be flat after you get out of Chicot State Park on day 22. But there's a lot of elevation changes on that trail. I mean, some of it's comparable to what you're going to find up in Kisatchie. Now, in regards to checking in to Chicot State Park, you need to do that in advance. Don't just walk in the park and try to make plans, especially when you're coming in down CC Camp Road. That's not normally a regular entrance for people. So you need a call in advance, book whatever it is you want to book, whether it be a primitive campsite to one of the regular campsites, to even if for some reason or another, you somehow cutting through that park for the whole day and you're not stopping, you need to do the same thing just to make sure that we don't have any problems in the future. But outside of that part, I think, really, you're going to have no problems getting through Chicot State Park and enjoying that park. I would say, if you can, take a zero, because it's been several days probably since you took one when you left the Alexandria area. And there's plenty of stuff to do in that park. You can go and rent a canoe. You can go fishing. They have a nice fishing pier out there on both sides of the park. And Ville Platte's not far away. You can probably end up getting yourself some transportation into town. And I'll show you all the amenities at the end of day 22 and what Ville Platte looks like. But you might even be able to get some things delivered. I mean, the Walmart's less than 10 miles away from the park. You probably just need to check with the park first to make sure it's okay to have a delivery brought to the front entrance, but that's a possibility as well. But just like Kisatchie, if you're not in a rush, I would just enjoy Chicot State Park. Just like I mentioned on day number 13 and 14 through the Kisatchie Hills, I say it's the same, especially since you hadn't had this kind of experience in a while. But that concludes day 21. I'll be back soon to hike day number 22 as we're going to finish up along the Chicot Loop and make our way to Ville Platte. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon on the Bayou State Trail.